to be different. Starring Sandy Allen. The world's tallest woman.
Oh, look, here she comes.
Sandy, how tall are you?
Well, hang on. Since we get inside, I'll be glad to answer all your questions.
It's Tradewood Drive, it's apartment, 2205 apartment.
Welcome to the I'm Big on Books Reading Awareness Program featuring Sandy Allen, the world's tallest living woman. You may have seen her on national programs and in record books. Would everyone please welcome, standing at 7 feet, 7 1/4, Sandy Allen.
Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome all you short folks here today. As you know, I'm the tallest woman in the world. I'm also big on books, and you know, you can be too. I love to read. I passed a lot of my time when I was younger reading. Because of my size, I couldn't participate in a lot of things that all of you guys get to do. So I took the place of it by reading books. And I find that you can learn all kinds of different things. Can you imagine how dumb we'd all be if we didn't have any books to read? That'd be pretty boring, wouldn't it? You can't ever read too much. You can always learn something new. I read a lot before I go to bed at night. And I find a lot of times that even though I'm reading a fictional mystery book, which is my very favorite kind, I still learn new words, which allows me to talk to people like I've got at least a few brains in my head. More important, we're all different, right? None of us is the same. When God made us all, He made us all from a different mold. Some of us have problems in day-to-day living that most other people don't. Some of those problems are obvious. For instance, with me, I'm very tall, so that makes me a little bit different in other people's eyes. Although, you know what? I'm no different really than anybody else is. I have feelings just like everybody else does. And when people make fun of me, it hurts my feelings and makes me very sad. You wouldn't like it if somebody made fun of you because you were tall, or because you were heavy, or maybe a different color, or real short. You wouldn't like that, would you? Oh, that's no fun. Have any of you ever heard of the golden rule? It says, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. That means treat other people the way you want them to treat you. If you want to be treated mean, then I guess if you treat other people mean, that's just the way they're going to treat you. But you got to remember, other people have got feelings too. And I know there'd be a lot less fighting and a lot less wars and people shooting each other if we all just treated each other with a little bit of respect and treat other people just the way we would like to be treated.
Why are you so tall?
That's a very good question. All of us have got pituitary glands, and this gland, which is called the master gland, does a lot of very important things for our bodies. Some of you younger kids probably haven't studied that yet in school, but some of you older ones would have in your health or your science class. One of the very important things the pituitary gland does for us is that it makes growth hormone. If we didn't have any growth hormone, we'd all remain babies all of our life. Can you imagine what a world full of little midgets that would be, eh? But due to the fact that I had a tumor located in my pituitary gland, this caused it to produce too much growth hormone. So it's like speeding in your car. I grew a little faster than everybody else does, so I got taller. By the time, we got any 10-year-olds here? Anybody here that's 10 years old? Well, by the time I was your age, I was already about 6 feet 3 inches tall, which is probably bigger than your daddy is right now. And that made life pretty difficult when I went to school, because the boys all made fun of me and the girls didn't want to be my friend because I was different. I was tall. So I didn't get to participate in a lot of the things that most everybody else does, like going to the dances. By the time I was in the 9th grade, a freshman in high school, I was already 7 feet 1 inch tall, and there was no boy in the school that was going to ask some girl 2 feet taller than him to go to the dance, right? So it made life a little bit difficult, but I learned that when you've got problems to solve, if you're going to give up very easily, where are you going to get? Nowhere, right? So I guess I've got a bit of a stubborn streak in me. I don't give up easily. I'm very proud of my size. I'm different. I'm 7 feet 7 1/4 inches tall, and I'm proud of every inch of it. I have no reason to be ashamed of my size just because I'm tall. Like I said, being this tall does create problems in day-to-day living. When I travel, I usually have to fly coach so that I can have the 3 seats going across on the airplane. And if the plane's booked full, I'm in trouble. They don't have room for me. Sometimes it might be easier, I think, if they put me down in cargo where they put all the suitcases. When I travel and go to hotels, they usually accommodate me by putting a small bed at the foot of my bed, because otherwise my legs hang over at the knees and it's kind of hard to sleep that way. As far as the bathtub and the shower go, I forget about the shower. I don't mess with it. It hits me right in the belly button, so I don't even mess with the shower. Bathtubs can be a little tricky. When I went to London, England last year, I got stuck in the bathtub in my hotel room. Literally stuck in the bathtub. I thought they were going to have to do my interview from the bathroom. But after I sat there for a while, I became the world's tallest shriveled woman, and I shrunk up enough that I was finally able to get out of the bathtub. But I was a little worried. It reminds me of that old sitcom situation where the lady gets her toe stuck in the tap in the bathroom and she can't get her toe out. Only all of me was stuck in the bathtub. I drive a van, which comes in handy, although these new minivans don't really work for me. Even if they put the seat all the way down on the floor, every time I hit a bump, my head's going to go right through the roof. But what they did was they moved the driver's seat back a little farther for me and lowered the seat so that I'd have plenty of room to drive. And I'm very grateful for that, because I don't fit too well on bus seats. It's kind of hard with a bad knee for me to climb stairs, so I couldn't really ride the bus, like the city bus. As far as my clothes go, I love to sew. That's one of my favorite hobbies. And I make a lot of my own clothes, although there is a shop here in town where I happen to find that they sell clothes that are big enough for me to actually go out and buy something ready-made, and that's very exciting for me. I can't just go out to the store or any old store I want to go to and find what I want to wear. Usually earrings and jewelry are about the only thing I can buy. My ring finger is a size 16, and I'm not married yet because I can't find any guy rich enough to put a diamond that big on my hand. My shoes are a size 22, and believe me, you don't find those babies floating around just anywhere. Although I was lucky enough to find a place down in Vincennes, Indiana that can make my shoes for me. I get my tennis shoes from one of the stars of the local NBA team here. And I'm real glad to have those too. They're very comfortable and very big. Not quite as big as Shaq's tennis shoes, but almost. I met the guy that has the biggest feet in the world. And we were on a TV talk show together. And they gave him a really pretty pair of tennis shoes. And I said, "Oh, Matt, may I wear your tennis shoes on the show?" And he said, "Yeah." But when I tried his tennis shoes on, there was like that much room between the back of my heel and the end of his shoe. I couldn't believe it. I actually found somebody that wore shoes that were bigger than mine.
What's it like to be different?
It's okay to be different. There's nothing wrong with that. You shouldn't make fun of other people that are different because they have feelings too. And I'm sure it hurts. I know it hurts because I've had people make fun of me just because I'm taller than everybody else. But what's wrong with being tall? I'm 7 feet 7¼ inches tall, and I'm very proud of it. And if you are, then that'll make you a better person too. You got to be proud of yourself, no matter what you are. Whether you're short or tall or heavy or skinny or handicapped, it doesn't matter. Be proud of yourself and make the best of what you've got.
Do you have any pets?
Yes, I have a cat and a dog. I have a calico cat named Jitsu, and my dog's name is Shelby, and she's a part terrier, part poodle. Probably the best friend I have in my of all the friends that I've got, she's probably the best one, and I must say my cat and my dog have got me really well trained. I've got a nice big chair in my living room that was custom made for me, and it's a little wider, excuse me, it's a little bit wider than your normal armchair, but it's not as wide as a love seat. And I own half of that chair, and then my dog Shelby owns the other half. My bed is custom made for me, and it's about 8 feet long. Of course, by the time you get the dog sleeping on one side and the cat sleeping on the other, I begin to wonder whose bed it really is. But it's very comfortable, and I'm very glad to have it because it's really hard to sleep when your legs hang over at the knees. My sheets, as far as that goes, I can't just go out and buy a sheet for the bed, obviously, so I have to buy 3 sheets, and I cut one sheet in half and sew each half of a sheet onto another sheet to make it long enough to tuck under at the end.
How much do you weigh?
How much do I weigh? I weigh about 450 pounds, give or take an ounce or two. That's why at Christmas time, Santa will let me sit on his lap. He has to sit on mine. When I go out to public places like restaurants and, well, obviously, movie theaters, I don't fit too well in those seats either. One time I was sitting upstairs in the balcony at a movie theater watching a movie, and I had to be right on the front row, of course. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden the seat broke and I landed on the floor. And it had to be during a real quiet moment during the movie. You know, there's nothing going on, and all of a sudden, kaboom, there I am sitting on the floor. That could be a little bit painful too. A chair broke with me one other time someplace else, and I ended up injuring my back pretty badly. So when I travel anywhere, I usually take my wheelchair with me because that, so far at least, has been a good standby for me. Or if I go someplace like here to the library, have chair will travel, you know. Because I won't sit on any other chairs. I'm afraid they wouldn't hold me. It's kind of tough to go and get weighed, though. I can't just go and use a regular bathroom scale. They don't go up that high. So I pull into these truck stops, you know, where they weigh these very big trucks. And here's another piece of junk for you to weigh on your scale.
Have you met any famous people?
I've met quite a few famous people. Getting my record, of course, gave me the opportunity to travel and do all kinds of talk shows, so I've done just about all of those. One very famous person that I met and became friends with was Michael Jackson.
Oh my God.
He's a very nice guy. He really is very friendly. I met him when I was working in a museum out in San Francisco, and he came in one evening and introduced himself to me, and I didn't believe he was who he said he was. He very shyly said, "Hi, I'm Michael Jackson," and I said, "Yeah, sure, and I'm going to be the next president of the United States." But before he left, he finally convinced me that he was who he said he was, and he gave me an autograph of his album, and came back in and chatted with me a few other nights. But he's a really nice guy, and I'd say he's one of the more famous stars that I have met.
How much do you eat?
How much do I eat? Well, let's see now. For breakfast this morning, I only had 3 short people. When he used to say that in the museum I worked in, everybody up front moved immediately to the rear of the room. I don't eat a whole lot. Let's see, what did I have? For breakfast this morning, I had a sausage and egg biscuit, and for lunch today, I had a bologna sandwich. Yum, yum. So that's about it. Actually, I think my dog eats more than I do. My favorite food, though, is macaroni and cheese. Mashed potatoes and gravy, you know. The more fattening it is, the more I like it.
Did you ever play sports?
I played a little bit of basketball, believe it or not, when I was in the 8th and 9th grades. By that time, I was about 7 feet 1 inch tall, but I wasn't a very good player. I was so much taller than the other girls we played against that I was afraid to get too physical. I was afraid I might hurt somebody. The only problem was they didn't hesitate to climb up one side of me and down the other. And if I tried to defend myself, the referee was always blowing her whistle on me. I wanted to stick that whistle right down her throat a few times. But then I developed a problem with my knee, and that sort of put an end to my great basketball career. I do like to watch sports, though. I like football, and especially basketball. I'm a big IU, Bobby Knight fan. And I like the Indiana Pacers and the Colts. Just mostly football and basketball.
Do you dress up for Halloween?
No, I haven't done that for a few years, but one time a friend of mine had a haunted house in her garage, and she let me borrow one of her husband's suit jackets, which, you know, the sleeves hit me like up to here, and we put on a Frankenstein mask, and I would be standing right at the beginning of the entrance of the haunted house, and when the kids came through, I was standing perfectly still, and when they'd get up real close to me, then I'd groan and raise my arm, and they all went flying back out the door. Nobody would come in there until I left. I had to get undressed and go upstairs. I couldn't even stay down there in the haunted house. They were all so scared of me.
Have you been in any movies?
Yes, I've done a couple of movies. One was called Fellini's Casanova, which was filmed in Italy. That was a lot of fun. Donald Sutherland was in it. And then I was also in a movie that was made out in Los Angeles in Hollywood called Sideshow, which was a movie about the circus, and I played the tall lady in the circus. It's not easy work, not something I'd really want to do for a living. Again, I'd like to thank all you short guys for coming in here today. Hope you don't mind me calling you short people. You know, I don't mind making fun of my size either once in a while. I feel like if you can't laugh at yourself a little bit, then you're really in trouble if you take everything seriously as everybody says to you. But once again, don't forget now your libraries, and that are very important for you to come in, and you can pick up books and read and learn all kinds of different things about just about anything you're curious about. I know it's not always fun to read your lit assignments and have to do book reports. I didn't mind doing the reading. It was writing the book reports that I didn't particularly enjoy. But don't forget to come in and use the libraries and take advantage of them. And remember, if we didn't have any books, we'd all be pretty dumb. I don't even think we'd be able to talk to each other. And be proud of yourselves, whether you're tall or short or heavy or skinny or from a different color or from a different country or religion. That doesn't matter. Just because you're a little different, consider yourself special. Okay? Be proud of yourselves and make the best of what you got. Don't give up when you got problems to solve.
I'd like to thank everyone for being here today and thank Sandy for a fine presentation. If anyone would like an autograph, if you'd line up single file over here, come in this way and then go out the other way. And if you'd like to have your picture taken with Sandy and you brought a camera yourself, she'll stand up for those photographs.
Because your pituitary gland sits in a little cavity just underneath where your optic nerves cross for your eyesight. And this tumor, as long as it was in there, was going to continue to get bigger, and it ultimately would have caused me to go blind. So that's what scared me into having my surgery done. But because of my big size, they even had to get some of their instruments for the operation specially made because they didn't have things big enough or pipes, tubes long enough, you know, where they put down your throat and stuff like that for when they do operations. My favorite sport's basketball. And I love animals. If I ever win the lottery, I'm going to have my own humane society. I'd like to have a farm, but all my animals would have to die of old age. I could never sell my cows to slaughter. Yeah, you know what I'm tempted to do when people ask me how's the weather up there? I'd like to pour a glass of water on their heads and tell them it's raining. Maybe someday I'll do that.
Have you ever had a boyfriend?
No, nobody I've ever been very serious about. I date guys that are shorter than me. Believe me, if I didn't, I'd never get to go out.
Who's your favorite actor?
My favorite actor? Ooh, that's a tough one. I haven't been to the movies in so long, I don't know who's famous anymore. Patrick Swayze's probably one of my favorites.
What subject in school did you like best?
My favorite subject when I went to school was probably algebra. Although I majored in a lot of secretarial courses, typing and shorthand and bookkeeping and those kind of things. I used to work as a secretary, and I can type anywhere from about 85 to 90 words a minute on a computer.
Okay.